This is a crimping machine for the button cells, and as the individual electrodes are cut and the electrode material is put on the electrodes, then it is made to pass through the crimping machine and the electrodes are prepared. So in this it becomes very important to place the electrode material and the separator correctly, otherwise there are chances that you can short the two electrodes. So I think now we can see more probably later. I will go further. So we have also learned yesterday from Professor Kulkarni's talk about patterning techniques, right? So why these patterning techniques becomes important? When you want to minimize the distance between the two electrodes, we saw pouch packaging and also the button cell packaging, where the electrode spacing is defined by the separator in between. However, patterning techniques give us a provision to lay the electrodes at a spacing that we desire, right? So you can imagine the two electrodes when you have interdigitated finger electrodes patterned. These finger electrodes are nothing but individual electrodes, and the number of electrodes determine the number of capacitors which are connected in series, right? So this kind of technique is used for making micro supercapacitor, which are nothing but in-plane storage devices rather than out of plane. Usually we imagine or we visualize the supercapacitors as out of plane devices where we have two electrodes being held together through a separator in between. But now this is one of the example where one group, the reference is below, here have used a compact disc. We also know that compact disc has grooves on it. So a graphene oxide solution is spin coated on the compact disc, and then it is using a laser scriber, whatever CD writer, one can lay patterns on these and define whatever electrode spacing you want. So these are the two electrodes which are already there in plane on the substrate, and then by laying the electrolyte on top of it, one can assemble a device in a very simple and straightforward manner. But do remember that the lithographic methods here that are used are not so straight. One can design very innovative methods as well as use conventional processes like photolithography or soft lithography for making these kind of interdigitated electrodes. And if one can develop a very simple method like this, this kind of method can become scalable. As you can see, hundreds of individual devices are printed together on a single CD. So you can see the interdigitated electrode, each one of them is an individual micro supercapacitor device. Same way, another group has done laser writing directly on a graphite paper, and you can see the different electrode architectures can be prepared. If you have just two electrodes with a spacing in between, it is a single supercapacitor, and you can make it in different geometries, different architecture. You can vary the spacing between the electrodes, you can change the size of the electrodes to make different, to realize different device performance based on the requirement. One can also assemble in series and parallel combinations of devices, and this technique kind of gives you a free hand on assembling or putting devices together. So I think questions.
your lecture you have said that optimum concentration of an electrode. You have shown
electrolyte.
Electrolyte, sorry.
Yeah.
In which you have shown a characteristics between specific capacitance versus concentration.
Yeah.
So from this characteristics, how can we determine the optimal value of the concentration?
So there is usually a point when you don't see any increase in the capacitance of the device. Yeah, I can go. So if you look at this, you will notice two things happening, that this is more of a flat region rather than a very steep increase. So here the concentration what we are talking of is around 2 to 5 molar concentration. So when there is a plateau kind of region, that you increase the concentration and it doesn't have much effect on the capacitance, that is the range of concentration you would like to use for your system. And if you go very high in concentration, it can be detrimental to the electrodes, right, because it is a corrosive environment for the electrodes, and the electrode stability can be affected. So you want to choose a concentration, optimum concentration, where it doesn't have too much effect on the strength of the electrodes, as well as there is not much compromise in the ionic conductivity or the capacitance.
Is there any mathematical formula?
For concentration, I don't think so. It usually is taken between 1 to 3 molar kind of concentrations. 1 molar is a quite good concentration range to be used for electrolytes.
The separator is a polymer, or we can use a ceramic also?
Separator needs to be porous. So you can use ceramic if you can make it very thin. So the thickness of the separator adds resistance to your device. So usually ceramics thickness will be much more than the polymer thickness. That's why usually polymers are preferred over ceramic.
Ma'am, how do you manage to fill in the electrolyte and separator in micro supercapacitor?
In micro supercapacitor it becomes much more easy because both the electrodes are in one plane. So it's like you just have to drop the material on top. You don't need a separator actually, because now when you have defined the electrodes, the air gap in between, or the physical separation in between itself is an insulating medium, right? So you just need to fill it directly with the electrolyte.
I mean, some applications we do require high capacitance. So my question is, whenever high capacitance is required, which capacitors should we prefer?
Which?
Micro supercapacitors or supercapacitors?
Very good question. Micro supercapacitors are usually for low power devices, because the area. So the capacitor, for a capacitor, you need to have electrodes in parallel to each other, right? Whereas in micro supercapacitor, the contact area, the electrode area, which is in parallel to each other, depends on the height of the electrode. So the common area between the two electrodes is very small for micro supercapacitors as compared to out of plane device. So out of plane devices will have much more capacitance as compared to a micro supercapacitor.
You mean to say that when this lower capacitance is required,
Yeah.
then a normal capacitor, that is an ordinary capacitor, and micro supercapacitor
Can-
is the same.
Yeah. Micro supercapacitor is for those kind of application where you want a very thin or very small power source for a chip, like RF antennas or some simple devices where you need very low power. Any more questions?
One more question. As far as electrode potential is concerned, with the help of the electrode potential, how can we determine whether it is positive terminal or negative terminal?
So it depends on the operating range of the individual electrode. Like for example, carbon. Carbon is a material which can be used in the negative as well as positive range, right? While when you have another material in combination with carbon, so you will so metal oxides, for example, they are usually having electrode potential which is in the positive range, right? So you tend to choose the material in such a way that depending on, you have to select the electrode potential in a way where one can be made positive and one can be negative. So when you have materials in combination with carbon, usually carbon is taken as a negative electrode and most of the metal oxides are taken as positive electrode. And when you have two materials same, then you can use them both positive, negative. It is immaterial which you make as positive or negative.
What is the use of electrical potential for that?
So electrical potential gives you the range of operation.
It is known prior.
Yeah, so you know the material electrode potential values. So you know up to what potential it will undergo an oxidation and redox reaction. Because Professor Fisher has talked yesterday about pseudo-capacitors. So pseudo-capacitors has additional capacitance as compared to an electric double layer capacitor because of the oxidation and reduction reactions that happen at the surface, at the interface. So depending on, so from electrode potential you will get to know at what potential value you will have an oxidation reaction happening and at what potential you will have a reduction happening. So that will determine the range of the electrode potential you want to select.
Standard range is there? Or?
Yeah, there's a table for all the materials, right? Standard electrochemical potential table.
Then size of the ions of the electrodes has something to do with the performance, I think.
Size of the
Ions of the electrolytes.
electrolyte, yeah, definitely they do play a role.
Yes, so my question is, when we talk about ionic liquids, there is cation which is bigger in size as compared to the inorganic electrodes, electrolytes like KOH and others. So does it find any difficulty because
Yeah, exactly. You have pointed out you have pointed it out right. So aqueous electrolytes, KOH, H2SO4, they are smaller ions, and because of that they can move very freely. The mobility is more, and as a result, ionic conductivity is also more. Whereas when you come to ionic liquids, you will find that ionic conductivity is compromised, and that is because they are more viscous. They are not able to move so freely. Their viscosity is more, so ionic conductivity is compromised, and that's the reason even though ionic liquids have high voltage window, but their mobility is less and their ionic conductivity is low, because of which their overall performance is in terms of capacitance is still lower. Yeah. Okay, thank you. We'll